So I would probably be not very. I would have probably the approach is not very common. I mean, most of the time, what you would hear is like focusing on the quality of the code, craftsmanship, etc., etc., etc. Why? What I think is important is one, making our team efficient, which is not really about writing code, or not only about writing code, but also about how we organize work. And there are lots and lots of places where we could improve how we organize work so the whole team works more efficiently. Um, and it doesn't have to do anything with how good quality, or pretty little, how high quality code we write. And the second part is how team, like people, humans, interact with each other. So what kind of people the team is built of. And this boils down to the research I mentioned a lot in my presentation, which is research run by Anita Woolley, around collective intelligence. Because what seems to be true is that the team would be solving problems not depending on how intelligent the smartest person in the team is, but how a team, like the team acts, what the collective intelligence of the team is. And it seems that those two things are not connected at all. So this would be probably the two major things I'm focusing on right now. I guess the whole story would require like 60-minute explanation. I think that what I'm talking about multitasking, about cost of multitasking, how it hampers the efficiency of our teams, is I don't want to say that we should remove all the multitasking at all. I just say that there is way too much context switching, way too much multitasking, and we should reduce that. But I don't think it is possible to remove all the context switching, from our teams. But this is, like a team perspective, what is happening with a team. The other very different thing is what is happening on a company perspective. Say, what kind of projects we start, managing portfolio. And on this level, I strongly believe, and I advocate for that we should also think about limiting, work in progress, like projects in progress, because it would improve it would improve the effectiveness of the whole companies as well. In other words, what I believe we should learn is to say no to the incoming work. I mean, this is also attractive to start yet another project because, it's profits, blah, 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 except that if we take too many of those, we won't deliver, which means that our costs would be bigger, which means that profits cannot be there at all. So this is, the same discussion on a very different level, but I still think it is important discussion to have. You don't want to work with people of, say, low intelligence. I just say that it shouldn't be a deciding factor whenever we are thinking about building effective teams. I mean, like what research shows is that focusing purely on individual intelligence isn't something that builds great teams. And if our goal is to build great teams in the first place, we should be focusing on the factors, on the criteria that helps us to build to build great teams. And it seems that individual intelligence isn't one of them. I mean, like, obviously, if you have like everything else being same, I guess most of the people, would prefer to work with more intelligent person than less intelligent person. It's, it's human. Like, we prefer to work with people we can learn from. We prefer to work with people who, can surprise us with their skills. If we want to build great teams, it seems that individual intelligence isn't something that we should pay attention to as much as we do right now. That we should focus more on how collectively we work and not how individually we work. So, like, it's like imagining, having everything else being different. You would probably prefer to work with more intelligent person, which is obvious. But this is not a factor that seems to be changing how our teams operate. And I would assume, that you need some intelligence to get the other thing in place as well. I mean, like, if you care about people, if you pay attention to how they communicate, whether they get engaged in discussions, etc. There is this term called social intelligence. This is, like, kind of a bit different look at our intelligence, but this is probably what we should be thinking of, in this context. Women in our teams improve how effectively our teams work, and this is correlated with the collective intelligence research. So this is why we should be looking for women in our teams, because it improves their performance. So this is the shortest answer I can give, as hard as it is.